Go. We're 11 seconds out, and our feed and stream should be going. Oh, so exciting, April. Our first webinar of the year.
I
Are you pumped?
know. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. They are just connecting now, according to my auditing system. And welcome one and all to Webinar Wednesday 2018. This is number 43 in our Webinar Wednesday series. April wanted me to renumber them at one, but no, we're continuing going. We're going to hit 100 webinars, not by the end of this year, but by early next year. This time we'll be closing in on 100 webinars. How you doing, April?
I'm good. How are you doing? Happy New Year. It's so exciting.
Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everybody joining us. Let me just check my audio here. Oh, it sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Got me. So this is a little bit of one of those interesting webinars today for me, because we are doing our first webinar of the year, obviously, but it's also the first webinar Wednesday where I'm in my new studio. So December 21st, while everybody was getting ready for Christmas, Steve and Shan and family were moving. So we moved houses, and oh my goodness, I thought that I would have everything just tickety-boo and set up by this point. And we're still in chaos here, but we do have our computer running. I don't have any lights. It's natural light working right now. We don't have our green screen, so you can see the background. Who's phoning me now? Somebody's phoning me. You'll just have to wait. Sorry about that. So we've got so it's a brand new setup, but I think it seems to be working pretty well. It'll be interesting. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on the quality of audio, quality of video feed that you're getting. One cool thing is, in my new location here, I have ungodly fast internet. I've got fiber to the door or fiber to my wall, and every time I test my upload and download speed, I giggle a little bit because it's so fast. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I don't want to get complacent, so we still have to make sure everything is working very well. So at any rate, so here's our plan for today. First of all, so many of you are in the room. We've already got over 250 people in the room. Happy New Year to all. Thanks for the welcome. I'll make sure I read through all of the chat once we're all said and done. But I see David from Pennsylvania, and Arjan is there, and Barbara's there, and Yokdi. Well, I can't say that one. Carol Ann and Robert and VJ from Ascot, England. Welcome, one and all. I'm a little intimidated by the fact that so many people signed up for Webinar Wednesday this week, because getting ready for it as well with the new office, I was kind of all akimbo. I was getting this and that together. So the video today doesn't have green screen because we're not set up. But I'll be explaining. You'll be going through the journey of setting up the new office with me. I'm also
using Farley with us today.
Farley is. You can probably see him right there.
Hey, buddy. He's had the toughest time of all moving.
Oh, our dog is on doggy Ativan right now because he gets such separation anxiety. If any of us leave the house, he freaks out.
Oh, man.
And he's had a tough time. So we actually have him on these little on Ativan, basically, and it doesn't seem to be having an effect on him. So if it doesn't make him start to feel much better very soon, I'm going to start taking the Ativan because it's driving me crazy trying to get him comfortable. But it has been an adventure. So here's what we're going to be doing today. We do have a video pre-recorded. As I say, it's not in green screen, but it's my toolkit. So at the end of the year last year, we were working on a list builder for Dottotech for our new website. By the way, if you haven't visited it, the new Dottotech site, all the kudos to Sophia and Liz, who did so much work to put the new website together. But a big part of that is we wanted to have the most common question we get asked is, Steve, what tools are you using? So we built a document, a list builder, which has every tool that I use, from productivity to all of my hardware and software that we use. And so that's what we're going to cover today is this productivity toolkit. April will actually drop a link in that will allow you to download it yourself. It's an opt-in where you'll opt in and you'll be able to view the page, and you can actually go through it with me as I go through it in the video. But I'm going to walk my way through it right now, and this gives you an opportunity for Q&A on it as we kind of launch this new product and launch the new website and launch the new year. It's a big launching project here today on Webinar Wednesday. I just wish I had everything finished in the studio. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Mic setup is a little bit different. The audio setup is I've got one new piece in it. Is I've taken out my mic preamp and I've added something called a Cloudflare, which to people who are into audio, it adds 25 decibels of clean gain to your mic just in line, going to my mixer. and I think it's doing a great job with the audio. But I'll be able to tell more once we get back into doing ongoing video production. But I also have Logitech's newest webcam set up, which is it's called their Brio, which is a 4K webcam, and it's not cheap. It's north of $200. But I'm pretty impressed with how clear it is. Actually, sometimes it's almost too clear, and you get you're suffering some of the high definition. I'm almost thinking about wearing makeup when I do things now because the clarity is pretty stark when I'm recording video. But those are the big changes physically to the system here. But let me go through the details, the administrative details, and then we'll get into the video. So those of you that are having any video issues or anything like that, make sure you just hit refresh. You should be okay. There's a reconnect button in the top of the on the top of the webinar software that you can use at any point. If not, relaunch your browser. If not, try another browser if you are having issues. But I suspect that you probably won't have too many issues today. I'm hoping you won't. Second issue is if you do have to leave, if there's an internet issue, if life gets in the way, there will be a replay link sent out as soon as I'm able to compose it. So by this time, by tonight, you'll have a replay sent to you from us. Now the replay is on YouTube, so you have the ability to fast forward through the kind of this preamble stuff and that. And the replay is available to you for 48 hours. You can view it, you can share it, and then after that, we archive the replay for the benefit of our patrons at Patreon. By the way, a big shout out and Happy New Year to all of our patrons on Patreon as well. So that's all going to be coming to you. We'll also have very soon a link up for next week's webinar. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about video. Towards the end of this month, we are starting delivery of our newest course, which is called Online Video Made Easy. And supporting that, we're going to be talking next week about why 2018 is the year of video. If you're sitting on the fence about getting into video production yourself, be it for live streaming, for Facebook, for YouTube, any type of video for your own website, for courses, if you're thinking about it, you're going to want to have a good look next week when we talk about why video is so compelling and so important and why you can build your business around video or build your business more strongly and more aggressively through the use of video. So we'll be talking about that next week here on Webinar Wednesday. But before all of that, let's talk about my toolkit. What tools do I use to create everything? And it's been good for me to kind of go through it as well now because I'm reevaluating every tool as I set up the new office space. So I've really enjoyed that process. And I'm not sure about you, but if you've moved offices recently or even just set up a new system, but all of the little things, it must take twice as long as you plan. Like little things like just one cable is too short, so you have to order and find a new cable. And that's another trip to the store, another wait for Amazon to deliver. And every little step of the way, and then you finally get the right length cable so you can put the computer where you want, and you realize that the computer's at the wrong height now, so you got to wait for something else to come. And it's just been this cascading series of things. But I'm getting really close. We'll be posting a series of photos on the entire process. And as a matter of fact, on Facebook right now, I just posted a picture of the cacophonous nature of my desk as we deliver today's webinar. But it's that's the journey we're all on, right? We're all trying to improve, and we're all trying to make the tools work for us. And that's what we are dedicated to here on Dottotech. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. The video today is about 26 minutes long. My entire toolkit. I'll be in the chat through the whole thing, so we'll be answering questions. And on the other side, we will have time for probably about 40 minutes, 35 minutes of Q&A. So let me just queue up the video here, and let's get into that part. We'll see you on the other side of the video.
Awesome.
Okay, let us dive into things for today's webinar. Now, as I mentioned, we're not 100% set up now for our video recording, at least not to the level that we were planning on being within a few weeks with the move of the office. So I don't have my full studio set up here, don't have the green screen set up. Matter of fact, we're using natural light, don't even have my lights set up yet. But this new camera that I'm using, the Logitech Brio, their 4K camera, is a pretty impressive camera. It's got some really nice features. I think it's doing a pretty good job of recording video, and I think you'll agree. But over the next couple of weeks, you will see substantial changes happening behind me as we get back into production mode here on Dottotech. But today we're talking Toolkit, and we will talk about a little bit about the hardware setup a little bit later on in today's webinar. But right now we're going to go through these main categories. Now everything that we're going to be talking about today, we have built into this wonderful document that you can access yourselves. Liz and Sophia have worked so hard to put together this, and we're going to be using it as a list builder for our social marketing. But we're going to break the tools down into productivity tools, screencasting and video, social marketing tools, online course development tools, team management, webinars, and of course the hardware that we're talking about. So we'll be putting the link in regularly through the entire webinar so that you can have access to this in the detail, because we're going to go through it pretty quickly right now. You might want to dive in a little bit more, and you also might forget what I'm talking about. You might want to go back and check it out rather than taking notes right now. So we're going to begin, as you would expect, with our go-to productivity tool, and we're going to start with Evernote. Still, Evernote is, as far as I'm concerned, is still the heart of my productivity system. For those of you, many of you who have taken our Evernote Made Easy course, we've got a course which is really the flagship course here at Dottotech, where we teach people how to use Evernote, and the links are at our website if you're interested. And for me, Evernote is it's even more valuable now after my experiences the last couple of weeks. Moving not just my home, but my office. That we started. December 21st was when we started the move. We physically moved, but obviously we were preparing before then. But I can't tell you how many times, as I've had different documents that I've had to worry about, or notes, or had to take measurements of something, how many times I've whipped Evernote out on my phone, captured some information, used that information a little bit later. Evernote has been an indispensable tool in the migration of me and my family and my business from our old house to our new house. So Evernote still, to me, is there's a reason it's at the top of the list. It's still the tool that I use constantly, and if anything, I'm even more committed to it now than I was before. So Evernote is still kind of the heart of my entire system. The next tool that I use is not really the heart of my system, but it is a incredibly valuable tool if you choose to pay attention to what it tells you. Rescue Time is a tool that runs in the background, and it measures all of your activities online, all of the tools that you're using, and it gives you a report back of what websites and what tools you're using and how long you're using them for. Now, this is a great discipline tool for helping you stay focused and not wandering away into those little rabbit holes and things that waste your time. It gives you a good report of just how much of your time that you spend online you spend in productive pursuits. And for many of us, an honest look at what we're spending time on can help us sharpen our pencil and say, you know what, I'm going to concentrate, I'm going to improve my business this year, and I'm going to do that just by focusing more on what I should be doing and not goofing around quite as much. So there is that aspect to it. But the other really kind of cool aspect to Rescue Time is when you start to analyze where you spend your time as you're building your team, as you're building your business. Rescue Time will give you the analytics that you need to determine maybe where you can be hiring and saving time. Not even talking about your personal discipline and how you spend your time, but if there are areas that you realize that you could hire somebody to do what you're doing and cost you less and free you up to do the more the activities that are more germane, that are more just kind of in your sweet spot. Rescue Time is a terrific tool for that. And of course, we've got good videos on that there will be links to that we have here right within the document. So Rescue Time is a tool that I think long-term can really help set you up. And I rely on. I go back, and I don't look at it every day or every week even, probably not even every month, but every couple of months I go in and I take a look at what I'm doing and what I'm spending my time on. And it's a big help. The next one we've talked about in the past is Focus at Will. Now, I will have one caveat here. A few of these products we are affiliates for. In other words, I make some money if you choose to buy them. And Focus at Will is one of those products that I am an affiliate for. So if you decide to get on board with Focus at Will and you use our affiliate link, then we will make some money from it. Now, Focus at Will is a lot of people find it a fairly expensive tool. It does not come cheaply, but what it is it's a scientifically designed audio tool that plays music that helps and assists you in focusing on your task at hand. Now, for me, what Focus at Will does is it creates this bit of a cocoon around me as I'm working, and it eliminates outside distractions. There's a whole bunch of science behind it. We've got some great videos and some great tutorials on why it works and how it works. You'll have to just trust me on the fact that it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. The people at Focus at Will tells us, I think it works on roughly about 3 out of every 5 people. It's a tremendous tool for. So it may work for you, it may not. Fortunately, there is a free trial that you can take to try it. Now, you should not expect Focus at Will to give you the ability to focus for 8 hours solid a day. Focus at will, and even intense focus on any project, is really something that we kind of have to build to the way an athlete builds. So 20 minutes, 30 minutes of intense focus, really real serious focus, is maybe where you're going to start. Typically speaking, I work in half-hour to 45-minute chunks. You might be able to work longer or shorter, but don't expect to be able to sit in front of your computer for 8 straight hours focused on task at hand. That's not healthy for you. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. But Focus at Will does help you in those chunks of time that you want to intensely focus, eliminate outside distractions, and help you concentrate on the task at hand. Still a tool that I use on a regular basis, and we stand behind. Text Expander is fortunately now available for both Mac and Windows, and oh my goodness, what a great tool it is. And it's just one of those tools that I use. I do use it every day, probably every hour. Text Expander comes to play. And what it is it's a keyboard expansion tool. All that it does is it basically allows us to create short little text strings that it expands into longer text strings. And we use it for everything from saving URLs to writing whole letters. Text Expander is one of those tools that I find absolutely indispensable. In the videos where I walk through it, you'll see that there's a variety of different ideas and variety of different ways I use it, but it's always the first utility that I install on my computer other than Evernote, and it's one, as I say, it's one that I use every day without fail. Take a look at Text Expander. If you're not using it, try it out. I guarantee if you bother to take the time to implement it into your life, it will save you hours every month. It's just that good a tool. Text Expander. Absolute 2 thumbs up. Now let's talk about online video. And there's really just 2 products that I use in the online video world. And that is ScreenFlow, which I'm using to record this demo that we're doing right now, and Camtasia, which is another screencasting tool. Now, I'm just going to take a moment here and talk to you about what screencasting is for online video, because the term gets a little bit confusing. And it's perfect timing because we're just about to launch our new version of our online video course, which we've changed the name from Screencasting Made Easy to Online Video Made Easy. Screencasting, as far as I'm concerned, is a bit of a misnomer. It's basically recording all of our video using our computer and our computer screen as a background, the way that we use our screens in the background, in order to record exactly what video you want to present, and then easily edit it and then upload it to whatever service you want to use. That is it in a nutshell. It's video recording and editing software, and both ScreenFlow and Camtasia are the basic tools for that. ScreenFlow only works on Mac. Camtasia will work on both Mac and PC. But I don't like the term screencasting because people tend to get limited in their thinking it's only going to be when we show software or apps that screencasting is valuable. But it's valuable far beyond that, because anything you can see on your computer screen, you can incorporate in a screencast. So other videos that you've downloaded, photos, anything that you can see on your computer screen can be incorporated into a screencast, which means all online video. So as far as I'm concerned, they are online video tools, not necessarily just screencasting tools. If you're interested in more on this topic, we're going to be talking a lot about it through the rest of the month. Next week, we'll be doing a series of videos on Online Video Made Easy, helping to promote the launch of our new version of our course. So I encourage you to sign up for that and jump on. This year, every year is the year of video as far as I'm concerned in the online space, but video is going to even grow into more prominent importance for anybody that's in social marketing or communications or online sales. Any online pursuit at all is made better when we start looking at using video, and these tools will allow you to create video online far more effectively than any other method. ScreenFlow and Camtasia, my go-to online video tools. Social media marketing. One of the biggest time vampires, as far as I'm concerned, for many of us, is managing our social media accounts. Most of us have multiple profiles. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got LinkedIn, we've got all of these different social channels that we work with. Plus, sometimes we have multiple profiles within each of those channels. And managing the communications and the dialogue and the content in all of those social channels is an overwhelming task. And for a lot of us, it's probably the biggest time waster that we have, because making sure that you have a return on investment versus the amount of time you spend, I think that's a real challenge. There's a couple of great social media dashboards out there that make it far easier for us to manage our social media. By a social media dashboard, I mean a tool that manages multiple profiles or multiple accounts within a single interface, meaning we don't have to jump into Instagram, do all of the work in Instagram, then jump over to Facebook and do all the work in Facebook. Instead, we do it all in a unified interface. The tool that I choose to use is Agora Pulse. Now, Agora Pulse is the best manager of conversations in social media. There are other good social media dashboards, make no mistake. Hootsuite is one good one. There's a variety of others that all serve very well. The reason I like Agora Pulse is they do, in my opinion, the best job of managing the conversations, managing the dialogue. And that's the heart of social marketing, as far as I'm concerned, is the conversation you have with your audience. Agora Pulse is right in the sweet spot of that. As a matter of fact, we did an entire webinar on Agora Pulse, which is available in our archives, but we've also got several demos online. So Agora Pulse is the heart and soul of my social media management strategy. The next tool is all about research and finding out exactly what's happening in the online space. And BuzzSumo, which recently was just sold, as a matter of fact, but it's still available, and it will continue to be available as BuzzSumo, is a tool that, to me, tells me what's happening in the online world. I use BuzzSumo to research, especially for my Twitter feed, as I curate content for my Twitter feed, but to know what's happening, to find influencers, to find out what's really happening in the buzz of social media. BuzzSumo looks at what's being posted, what people are talking about, and it gives you customized reports and customized feedback based on that. It's an invaluable research tool if you learn to use it. Incredibly deep and incredibly complex if you really dive into the meat of the program. But even the way that I use it, which is just to keep me abreast of all of the trends that are happening and what people are posting and what's interesting out there that's happening in the world of social marketing, technology, politics, all of those sorts of things, BuzzSumo is an awesome tool for all of that. Now, as far as the narrowest of my social networks, YouTube, TubeBuddy is a tool that optimizes my YouTube channel and allows me to create all of the different tags and get analytics and prepare my videos far more quickly and effectively than I could without TubeBuddy. It's another one of the tools that we are an affiliate for. If you are serious about YouTube publishing, you need a publishing assistant. TubeBuddy is, as far as I'm concerned, the standard that all the others are measured against. There's a few other tools like TubeBuddy that will help you out in this space, but TubeBuddy is the tool that I love to use. And again, as with all of these, I'm just going over kind of the very surface level right now because of the amount of time we have, but we've got videos and we've got whole webinars on most of these tools that are available to all of our community members. Online courses, you know what my online course tool is of choice, and that, of course, is Thinkific. I've been asked, I've watched, I don't know how often over the past couple of months, but people say, what's better, Thinkific or enter the other program here? And I'll tell you the truth. I don't know if Thinkific is better than enter the name of the other program here. But Thinkific does everything that I ask it to. They've got a brilliant team that's super responsive, and based on the tools and the capabilities that Thinkific has brought to the table, we have redesigned Dottotech and Dottotech's economic model, and we've built it around our online courses. And Thinkific is the partner that we have done it with. I'm thrilled with how it's come together, and I highly recommend it. So at the end of the day, finding a tool that you can actually build your business enterprise around is a pretty exciting moment. Thinkific was, as I've kind of grown with Thinkific, I've had that kind of excitement around it. If you are interested in developing online courses, and even if you look at how we've done it with Dottotech, it's not just the courses, but we've used Thinkific at the heart of our community. We use a Thinkific course as the base for our entire Patreon offering that we put in place now of providing all of the content to all of our patrons. So it's a tremendously flexible tool that you can use for online courses, but you can use for other aspects of social marketing as well. Thinkific is our tool of choice for online courses. Now, we have a small but very efficient team here at Dottotech, and for team management, there's basically two tools that make us click. And those are Asana, where we do all of our team project managements, and we got a great webinar where we covered using Asana. And again, Asana is one of those tools that we've taken advantage of, and we've built all of our systems around the capabilities within Asana, making sure that all of the tasks are done in a far more efficient manner than we were doing before. So Asana is my go-to team project and management tool. And for managing communications with our team, you know that I use Slack. Slack is we've got a little mini course not mini course. We've got a full course on Slack called Slack Made Easy, where we teach people how to use Slack. It's the way that our entire team communicates, and in fact, not just our team, but all of our subcontractors also communicate with our team in Slack. It's that efficient and that effective tool. Bottom line for people that don't understand what a communications manager will do for you is it moves all of the dialogue with a small group out of email, where it gets lost and is busy and is time consuming, and you end up with multiple threads and you can't always find the content you're looking for in an email. Slack manages all of those conversations. Really, it works best in a team environment, but it manages all those conversations much more like you would have in a messaging app, but it's got all these other abilities to add hooks to incorporate other tools and other products into it, as well as search and find all of the information you're looking for. Slack is conversational, so it's like having somebody in the cubicle next to us. It's not store and forward like email. It happens in real time as far as the chat goes, and it's become an indispensable tool for us. Now, interestingly, one of the tools that integrates within Slack, we can invoke right within Slack, is our conferencing tool of choice, which is Zoom. Now, Zoom could have been my webinar tool of choice, but it doesn't really serve for these sorts of webinars that we do here. You can use it for webinars, and it's great for webinars, especially if you're doing tutorial and training webinars. But we just love using Zoom as our video communication tool for having team meetings, conversations, the screen sharing capabilities, the ability to be able to record right within it, and how rock solid it is on all platforms makes Zoom our video conferencing tool of choice. As far as security and privacy, we use LastPass with our team. It's very inexpensive to use. They've got a really robust interface, and it allows you to manage your personal passwords and also share the passwords that you want to share with other team members. LastPass has become indispensable to us. If somebody needs to access the account, all I do is I share a link with them, and then in their LastPass account, they can then access whatever links they need to get in and out of our secure environment. It's a tool that, again, has become just a go-to tool for us. Once again, there's some other really good tools out there. 1Password, there's a variety of tools like that do what LastPass does, but I don't think anything does it as effectively and at the price that LastPass does. It's a pretty easy product to recommend now. As far as webinars goes, just like the webinar we're delivering right now, Webinar Jam is still the tool that we're using. We don't, in the webinar space though, recommend one webinar tool above another. Demio I like a lot. There's a variety of other platforms that I've used. I was just talking about Zoom for webinars. The reason is that no webinar tool is perfect. They've all got their warts, and at the end of the day, often things break that aren't the fault of the webinar tool. The internet is slow, people have an issue with their connection. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in the entire webinar space. So for us to say one webinar tool is heads and shoulders the one that we recommend would be folly. It's just, it wouldn't be good for either of us, for you or for me, to say one is better than the other. However, we do use Webinar Jam more than any other tool. Even though there are occasional issues, we find that overall it is the best performing for us, which is kind of bang for the buck. Not just how well it delivers, but the way that the features are built into it, the way that we use all of its integration with Infusionsoft and all of those other things. Webinar Jam is a tool that we use. But if you buy it and you're not happy with it, you can't blame me, because it's not one that I recommend above the others. It's the one that we use. I'm being very careful about this. I've also used Demio. Like it a lot. There's a few things in it, not technical things, but things in the way that it integrates with other tools that make it not our product of choice. As far as actual getting a webinar on the air and delivering it. As far as I'm concerned, it's just as good as any of the others. It's just that we don't choose it for a couple of subtle reasons of the way that we procedurally do things here at Dottotech. And we'll be talking a lot more about webinar stuff coming up in a couple of months as we relaunch Webinar Palooza. We'll go through and use all of the tools, and we will also be, of course, following that up with our Webinars Made Easy course. Or Winning at Webinars, sorry. It's Winning at Webinars course. Now, let's talk a little bit about the computers that we use. I'm still just using an older Mac Pro as my main computer. It's you can find them very cheaply on any used computer site. They're workhorses as far as power goes for video. They're a little bit noisy, they run a little bit hot, but bang for your buck. And a Mac Pro for the sort of video work we do is just an amazing tool. My backup tool is my MacBook Pro, so I obviously live in the Apple ecosystem. You can see the kind of configuration here that we have set up. Audio gear is the same as we've proposed for quite some time. I use the Electro-Voice RE20 going through a mixer into as my audio setup, but I highly recommend anybody that's getting into the world of doing online video or webinars or online courses look at purchasing something along the lines of a Blue Yeti microphone, so a good quality USB microphone that will cost a lot less, is less of an investment, and will really deliver virtually the same quality of audio as the Pro setup that I have. But the entire rest of the list of the tools are listed out here on the sheet, here on the Steve's Toolkit form. Now, on the form, I say still the venerable old Logitech C920 webcam is the tool to use. It still is. Bang for the buck, $79 or so on Amazon. You can't do better than the Logitech C920. Having said that, for a couple of $100, Logitech now has a 4K camera called the Brio. And that's the camera that I'm using right now and the camera I'm going to be using for the next little while. It's very high definition. At 4K, it's almost too good a definition. I noticed I was having some real issues with the framing and with just too much intimacy on my face as I was setting up. And as we set up the new lighting, it might be too much again. As you go to very high definition cameras, it can become an issue that it's too good a resolution. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that is true. And the Logitech C920 at it's still high definition with 720p resolution might be the sweet spot that really works the best. But the color management on the new version of the Logitech camera, I'm really impressed with, as well as the absolute clarity of image. And so it may well become my go-to camera of choice. Having said that, it's not going to be the one we're going to recommend the most because it's very expensive. It's north of $200. So it's 2 or 3 times as much money as the C920, which ultimately is probably going to deliver just as good a product for most of what you are doing. So the C920 is still a product of choice. Having said that, the Brio is the new 4K camera is worth having a closer look at. I'm not going to spend any time going through the rest of the software setup that we've got. It's all based here in the document in the Steve's Toolkit. But I will give you a photograph, and soon we're going to be augmenting this with a photograph of my new studio, of the entire setup of my old video office. So this is the office that I've just moved out of. And you can see here that I've got the old umbrella lights, which, by the way, are being replaced by LED lights here in the new studio. Right now it's being replaced by the sunshine. We can see my Mac Pro computer, my Electro-Voice RE20 microphone. All of it is listed out here, so you can see all of the audio and video gear that we used to set up to do all of our recording. Now, many of these pieces are changing. The mixer is staying the same, the computer is staying the same, the display is changed, the video camera looks like it's going to be changing, the studio lighting setup is changing, and my premix, my mic preamp is changed out. I've got something new that I'll be describing when we start doing when we talk about our video course. I've changed it to something called the Cloudflare, which is a much smaller little preamp that works really well for the type of microphone I have. But my chair is staying the same. I've still got the core chair, which is a wonderful chair that allows you to kind of wobble around and kind of activates your core and active seating, which is very healthy. And I've changed my desk from that old IKEA desk you see there. I've purchased a desk from a company called Fully, which is a sit-stand desk, which I'm really enamored with. It's called a Fully. What is it called? It's called the. I should know the name of this. Jarvis, the Jarvis standing desk from Fully. And we'll be talking a lot about that as we get into ergonomics, and we talk a little about it a little bit later. But I'm really quite smitten by this desk now. You're going to have to wait to see the whole office set up a little bit later in the year once we're all said and done. So that's it. I know there's going to be lots of questions and lots of people asking about recommendations, so let's get to your Q&A right now. You all found that content to be valuable. Now, let's get to your Q&A. Just before we do the Q&A, though, I do want to fill you in on what's coming up next week and also let you know how it is that we are here presenting all of this great content to you. So let me just jump into a quick slideshow and fill you in on some details. So first of all, if you want to share this with others, if you want to review this content, the replay link is going to be sent out by the end of the day today. It's going to include all the resources. And here's a tip for you, which we've been actually a little bit talking about in the chat. You can go through the entire webinar much more quickly in the replay, in the YouTube replay, by going double speed. And it still works. You can still understand everything I say. I know it's amazing because I tend to speak fast anyways, but it saves you some time. And we're all about making you more productive and saving you time here on Dottotech. So that's a great way to review. Or if you want to, even like next week, if you miss the webinar, register anyways, watch the replay, but watch it at double speed. But remember, the webinar is only available on YouTube for free for 48 hours. And after that point there, it will be then retained for the use of our patrons at Patreon. And that brings me to just a little quick message about Patreon. A big shout out and thanks to all of you who are on the call right now, who are our patrons. Dottotech is kind of an interesting social media example. We are supported through the generosity of you people who participate in our content through the crowdfunding site Patreon. Now, it's very similar to crowdfunding, for example, for launching a product. There's a variety of different crowdfunding places that people go to help pay for a widget being built. With Patreon, people support the creation of online content of the sort that we create. And the deal is this. It's pretty simple. Our patrons provide us a monthly donation of about $10 a month, and they give us $10 a month. And for that, we take that money then and we use it to create good, compelling content such as that which you're participating in right now. But we also provide some perks to you. And those perks include access to all of our previous webinar Wednesdays that we create. So this is our 44th. We started this in January of last year. We did 43 total training webinars last year. And the webinars are on everything from productivity to social media management. There's even some about ergonomics, and we talked a lot about healthier offices and that sort of stuff. So we really try and bring a lot of different free learning to you in our weekly webinar series. And you get access to them as free training whenever you want when you're a patron on Patreon. Everybody else gets access to them for 48 hours or during the live webinar. So we still reach out to the general community through our weekly webinars, but after 48 hours, it's then reserved for the use of our patrons. And the other huge perk is you get access to our regular courses at 50% off. And that is a substantial saving. Next, in 2 weeks from now, we are starting delivery of our newest course, Online Video Made Easy, where I teach you how to create video of the sort that we create, and also how you can create videos to support for online courses, for marketing purposes, for Facebook, for YouTube. We teach you the production process of the style of video that we create. And that course's normal price is $4.99. Our patrons get it at half price at $250. Then a little bit later this year, there'll be a course on delivering webinars of the sort that we create. And again, the same price structure will apply. Patrons will get it at half price. And our very popular Evernote Made Easy course, which is a great one to take right now, by the way, at the start of the year, is a great time to really get a handle on your whole productivity setup. That course, instead of $149, is available to our patrons again at half price. So in order to sign up for our to support Dottotech, or just to take a look at what's involved, you go to patreon.com/Dottotech, and April will also drop the link in as well. So to all of our existing patrons, thank you so much. To our new patrons, welcome aboard. We are thrilled to have you there. And that's just an example here of some of the different webinars that we've got access to. So this is our 44th, right? Is it? No, 43rd.
No,
44th. 44th. There we go. All right. Let us now jump back in and start dealing with all of the questions you have in Q&A. So, April, what have they got for me?
All right. Let's see. You did a great job of answering them in the chat, so thank you. Steve's asking, what was the name of the new audio device you mentioned?
Yes, and I misspoke in the webinar and here. It's not Cloudflare. Cloudflare is the web optimization service for doing content management for compressing your photos and stuff. It's called Cloud Lifter, and it was about $200. I bought it from B&H Photo. It's available in a few places, but it's from Cloud Microphones, and it's called a Cloud Lifter. It's just a little box, a little metal box that goes in line. Farley, stop it. It goes. Look at this. Look at this. Look. Can you see him there? What is he doing? He's like, hey, Steve, pay attention to me, Steve. It's available. It was about $200, and it's B&H Photos. It's also available on Amazon. But it's an inline device that just goes between your microphone and your whatever your digital converter is, and it adds 25 decibels of clean gain. I think it's doing a pretty good job. I'm pretty impressed with it. Before I had a tube preamp, and it was okay, but I like this better.
All right. Will is asking, where is the new office located? Still downtown Vancouver?
No, I've never been to downtown. Well, not since we did the TV show in downtown Vancouver. I'm in Ladner, and actually, I'll just. Probably the camera will go a little bit crazy, but you'll see the view that I have outside of my door now. I've got just on the other side of those trees there is the Fraser River. So I'm like walking distance to the river, and we're walking distance to the village of Ladner, which is a small old Japanese fishing village just about 10 miles south of Vancouver. So we go through a tunnel, and so the next we're about 15 miles from the U.S. border, just south of the city on the Fraser River and the ocean.
Well, it looks like your neighbor there maintains their lawn too, which is nice.
One of the reasons we chose this unit, we bought a row house, and one of the reasons we chose this unit is my office and Sophie's room looks into that garden, and it's a heritage house, so it's protected. So it's always going to be there. They're never going to build a big old apartment complex or anything. And I can actually, from Sophie's room, not from mine, but from Sophie's room, we can see the mountains as well, which is really nice. It's a nice place. Nice. It's nice to kind of be getting set up.
All right. So I think you just answered about the preamp, right? That's the Cloud Lifter?
Yes.
The preamp? Yep. Okay. Let's see. Hey, guys, is the video about creating your website still in the plans?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I was just talking with Liz today, and we are going to be bringing her on. It looks like January 31st is probably going to be the date, but that might shift. But we're going to talk about the entire design process that we made converting from our old Dottotech site to the new Dottotech site. Love to hear your comments on the new site. Liz and all of us worked really hard on it. I'm quite proud of it, but we certainly would love to hear feedback on it.
Yeah, and you guys have been great about telling us things that might not work right, and as we launched it, which is awesome.
With every new site, there's always a few issues.
All right. Kyle's asking, are you using the free version of Slack, or have you upgraded to the paid version so you can add subcontractors as guests?
We're still on the free version. And we do add people, subcontractors, but I guess they get access to everything. But yeah, still on the free version. I always thought that the main version upgrade, there's a few plugins and stuff, but it archives a longer duration of your conversations with the paid version. It'd probably be worth paying for it. I should take a good hard look at that.
All right. What do you do for on-site backups? Just external hard drives, or do you have some sort of NAS, Drobo, Synology?
That's a really timely question. As a matter of fact, as I was in the shower today, I was thinking about that exact issue, because I just use local hard drive backup right now, and I also have an online backup. But I am planning on purchasing a server like a Drobo or something like that. but mainly because we're going to be increasing our video production pretty substantially. And I need a place to transfer huge files, video files, back and forth to our editors. And so with the new higher speed internet that I have here in the office, I'm going to set up a NAS, which will have online access so that our editors so I can do local file transfer here and they can have it through the internet. So we're just starting the research on it. I think I know the device I want, but I'll be talking about that once I purchase it.
All right. How would you compare Camtasia to Adobe Captivate?
I haven't used Captivate, so I'm not positive. So I couldn't really comment on it. But Camtasia is screencasting software first and foremost. In other words, it records what you have on your computer screen and allows you to manage that. I'm not sure Captivate is the exact same, but I don't have a better answer. But I'll check into that, and it's something that we'll look at for the future.
Okay. Do you mind sharing what's the total cost of your old setup versus your new setup?
I will. You know what? That's a great point, and we will lay that out. The only incremental costs that I've experienced in the new office versus the old is this desk from Fully was around $900 US in the configuration I got. Now I got a small one. I got a 48-inch wide one. But I got a lot of bells and whistles on it, including a dual monitor arm. So that was about a $900 difference. But I always look for bargains. And so one of the things that I do is, using an old Mac Pro, even though it might, be a little bit embarrassing if people see it, and as opposed to the new trash can fancy looking one, it's such bang for the buck for video editing. It's amazing how much value you get out of it. So that's still there. But in all of the modules, when we teach about any of the topics, such as our webinar course or our video course, when we go through the hardware list, we include prices. So it's definitely going to be there.
All right. Barbara's asking, are you still using Buffer, and did you ever use Hootsuite?
Like Hootsuite. Hootsuite's a local company, Vancouver company, and I love Hootsuite. And Hootsuite, I think, is probably the best tool if your social media needs are heavy on research, because it does such a good job of in the way that it has the columns of being able to do keyword searches and to follow trends that you're managing and stuff. But I don't think it does as good a job managing conversations, which is what's most important to a small little company like ours, which has a fairly intimate relationship with all of our community. So I want to be able to actually talk to people as opposed to know just what people are thinking. So managing that conversation is the reason that we use Agora Pulse, and we find it very strong for that. So Hootsuite is excellent. We still do use Buffer on a daily basis, and it didn't make it in the list. I guess I forgot to put it in if it wasn't there. But Buffer is what I use for queuing up all of my curated content. So typically speaking, on a daily basis, I don't tweet a lot of my own generated content, but rather the stuff that I'm looking at and the things that I find interesting. I tweet that out. That's related to what our community is interested in. And I use Buffer for managing all of those communications. So Buffer is my content curation tool for Twitter primarily. And I think that they've done a really good job on the product.
All right. Our friend Pam's having a hard time getting past the verify screen in Patreon. Do you have any suggestions?
Not too sure. If she can share her email address privately with you, we'll deal with that offline and make sure that and see if we can go through the issue. I don't know why. So we'll take a look into it.
All right. You mentioned moving to LED lighting. Can you share a bit more on this?
The main reason was that I wanted, I was concerned most about form factor. The space that I have in the room. My old office was 22 or 20 feet deep by about 14 feet wide. My new office is 11 by 10. So I don't have the depth that I had. So I used to have the umbrella lights that I could put farther away from me. I'm pushing my hands out. But I used to have my umbrella lights that I could put, I had depth between the wall and where my desk had to be. So the umbrella lights on a stand were fine in that space. In the new space, I don't have that luxury of distance. So I've got these wall sconces that I ordered, which actually are bayonet, U-shaped bayonets that are designed as a receiver for your light. So I can actually put a light in mounted to the wall. But again, we wouldn't have the depth for an umbrella light, but an LED light will fit quite nicely. Plus the LED lights I can make dimmable because I've got these beautiful windows here and I'm facing north. So I'm never going to have direct sunlight in. So I'm always going to have pretty nice soft light. As a matter of fact, if I could count on daylight all, recording midday all the time, I could almost probably do without TV lighting or without lighting here, because I'm pretty happy with the quality that I'm getting right now. So consequently, it's got to be augmented light, and I want to be able to dim it. So that's why I chose the LED lights. So I chose just a good robust panel, but the roughly 10-inch square panels that will sit up and be bracketed. And we won't know how well they work until we actually set them up with the green screen. They're still being shipped to me. They've taken a little longer to get to me than I thought they would, but we'll let you know as soon as we get them.
All right. Wendy's asking, can I use my MacBook Pro camera rather than buy a webcam? Is there much difference in the quality?
There's a big difference in the quality.
There is a huge difference.
Yeah. You can, but it's not going to be as good. It's nowhere near as good a quality.
Let's see. Oh, strange here. I don't know. That's weird. Okay. Julie is asking, do you create tasks within Evernote and have them sync over to Asana or Todoist if personal?
You can, but I don't. I do. I use Evernote purely as a note management tool, and all of my tasks I do in Asana. But you can set up a link, and you can use. Oh, what's the name of the tool? I've lost it. There's a tool that will allow you, that will do the syncing, and we showcase it in our Evernote webinars. The name will come to me in a moment. I'm embarrassed that I don't remember the name. Troy Christmas is the guy who wrote the software.
Oh, I can get it. I know it now. I know who you're talking about. Okay. All right. The next question is
Task Clone. Thank you, Melissa. Task Clone. Yeah, and Zapier will also work. Thank you, Arjan. Yeah.
Andreas is asking, what's your internet speed?
It's 150 up and down right now.
That's awesome. And what are your thoughts on Meet Edgar?
Meet Edgar, I like it. I find you really have to be able to use the service to pay the price. They're a little bit expensive, I think, for what they do. But Meet Edgar is a tool that allows you to create buckets of tweets and then have it automatically cycle through the bucket. So it looks like you've got a varying Twitter feed, but you're actually recycling a lot of your existing content. And I think it's a terrific way to do things if you're using Twitter for marketing as opposed to for conversations. If you're using it for conversations, it doesn't do anything for you. But if you're using it the way that we use it for building market and building awareness, it's a good, solid tool. Most of what you can do in Meet Edgar, though, you can replicate using the publishing features that are built into a tool like Buffer, Agora Pulse, or even Hootsuite. But having said that, we're reevaluating. I'll probably end up using Meet Edgar again this coming year because it does make some things easier for us.
All right. What was the 4K camera you mentioned before?
It's called the Brio, BRILEO, I believe is the name. It's Logitech's 4K camera, and it just came out. I only saw it just before Christmas, and I bought it and set it up. And I didn't have much expectations, but it's slowly winning me over. I didn't like it at first, but now I'm starting to like it.
And who made it? I'm sorry, I'll look
Logitech.
it up. Logitech.
Yeah. Robbie L says Meet Edgar prices his barrier too. Yeah.
Do you use anything special for basic word processing and PDF handling?
No, I just use for PDF handling. No, nothing special. I just use Google Docs for most of our word processing, or we also do a fair bit of it in Evernote, and then I just use Preview and stuff for most PDF composition and saving.
Yeah, if you don't have it on your computer, a great free tool is Qt PDF, CUTE PDF.
Okay, thank you.
Have you tried Loom? Jan is asking.
Don't know what it is.
All right. Chloe's asking, what email communication platform do you recommend?
Email communicate. Well, we use Infusionsoft for email management here. For personal email, I just use Gmail.
All right. Larry's asking if you have service to help startups get off the ground.
No, do we have a service? Is he asking?
Yeah.
Well, overall, I believe that our community and the type of teaching we do on a variety of topics helps startups get off the ground. Everybody's going to obviously have a different need, but if you look back in the archive of our webinars, just thinking off the top of my head, last year, April and I did a great webinar on choosing your email provider for email services like Infusionsoft or MailChimp or whichever tool. So we've got tools like that. We did a variety of different productivity ones. I'm sure we did some other ones that were relevant to startups. So we did ones on doing online events, starting online courses.
Right. Social media management.
Social media marketing management.
Yeah.
We did team. We did outsourcing a team, building your team, team productivity. So there's a lot that I think you would find valuable, but not specifically startup.
Right. If you go to the YouTube channel, there's lots of great resources. I can put the link in the chat there. So how do you set up for green screen in your new small office?
Well, we haven't done it yet, but we will be. I've got a collapsible green screen, which is a 6 foot by 9 foot green screen. That's a big oval on a big metal ring that goes on a single stand. So it's going to go right behind me. I might end up having to reposition my camera slightly as I do it. But that's one of the reasons that I got a camera, a monitor arm, so that I can reposition things if I have to. And I might even end up having to move my camera off the monitor. It's just sitting on the monitor like a normal webcam right now. But that's going to take a little bit of positioning. The other thing is with this camera, it's a very wide angle. So I know it's going to shoot off the edges. So we're going to have to crop our video in editing in order to make sure that the green screen that we're not shooting past the green screen. But that's still to come. I don't know how well it's going to work. I suspect it's going to be okay. When I'm looking here at the framing here, I think I can get a green screen behind, that's going to fill the screen. But I'm still a little anxious to see how it all works out.
You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Of course we will.
Worst case scenario, you can hang it from the ceiling, right?
No, I'm not going to hang it from the ceiling. It's not going to happen. I have other plans for the ceiling.
Okay. Oh, anything fun?
No, well, light.
Oh. Thank you. Think you can remote control the dimming on the think you can remote control the dimming on the LED lights. Yeah,
a lot of the LED lights have remote control dimmers. Yeah, so I don't know whether I want to use the remote control that's on the handle or if I want to use a rheostat that's plugged in voltage-wise. I'm not sure which is the best way, but we'll figure that out too.
And what are your thoughts on CoSchedule for social media marketing?
Everything I've heard about it, it's a really good tool. It didn't end up working with our team with the way that we set things up, but it's one that I have heard nothing but good things about.
Yeah, and I use it for a company that I do some blogging with, and it's been fabulous in terms of being able to collaborate with like behind the scenes back end stuff.
Yeah, good.
Can you kind of go over Zapier, because there's a lot of questions people don't actually know what that is.
Okay, Zapier is basically an integration service that will take one web service and tie it to another web service, so that what it does is it creates little scripts that it looks for an activity inside of an account of yours. So let's say you've got a zap between Gmail and something else. Every time an email comes in, say from a certain address or with a certain subject title, Zapier will look at that, or Zapier will look at that, and if you've invoked a script to say, anytime this happens, then I want this other thing to happen. So then I want you to open this account and do this. But because it's very sophisticated and it has API integration with a lot of tools, in other words, it can get into the guts of the tool itself, it can do some fairly sophisticated things, bridging applications which might not be able to be bridged in any other way. So it's a service on the web. If you want a junior version of it that will teach you basically how it all works, there's a tool called IFTTT, which stands for if this, then that, which does the best job of describing how a tool like Zapier works. So if this happens, then that can happen. And with IFTTT, we have a demo on the YouTube channel, but you can build your own scripts to get comfortable with it. Zapier is the professional version of that sort of a tool.
All right. What mobile phone do you use in everyday tasks and why?
I use an iPhone because my family is in the Apple ecosphere. I think this year, though, I'm going to be buying a Google Pixel. I'm going to try it out because we're doubling down. You'll notice in our content mix as we move ahead this year that we're going to be doing a lot more in the Google ecosphere. I've chosen to do that just because I use all of the Google tools so much as far as Gmail and Google Calendar, and they've become so integral in my own personal productivity that I'm going to start using more of the Google tools. As a matter of fact, we bought Google Home, and we've allowed Google to listen to everything that's happening in our house these days. I got Google Home through the whole thing. I've been trying it out over Christmas. I'm on the fence still, but we'll be doing more with it. And I'm intrigued by the Pixel, so I want to get a Pixel phone. So I'm going to have to figure out then how to split my time between having two phones, because with the family, if your family's all on iPhone, there's no reason not to be on iPhone as far as I'm concerned. There's just too many things that work. But for us here on Autotech, we're going to be spending a little bit more time with the Google ecosphere. So we'll have an Android phone in Steve's pocket very soon.
All right, just to give you a heads up, it is the top of the hour here.
Okay, so for anybody that has to bail out right now, if you've got other things planned, I'm going to continue answering questions for about 10 or 20 more minutes. But if you do have to go, you can catch the rest in the replay. If you do have to go, thanks so much for spending time with us. Join us next week when we're talking about why 2018 is the year of video. And if you're not, it's the year you should be doing video. You should be joining us here on screen. It's way easier than you think. Trust me. We'll make it easy for you. So if anybody that has to go now, till next time, have fun storming the castle. For the rest of you, we'll continue answering questions for about another 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, so Sherry's asking, in the new screencasting online video made easy course, will you talk about the LED lighting?
Oh yeah, it's all going to be. As a matter of fact, it'll be right in the first lesson, because by the time I'm recording those lessons, I'm hoping to have the entire setup finished. I hope to have it done in the next 5 or 6 days. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Your thoughts on Evernote or OneNote?
Well, I use Evernote because it's what I started with. If I lived in a Office 365 world, and especially in a Windows world, and especially if I was using a Microsoft Surface as my notebook and that sort of stuff, I wouldn't even hesitate. I would be OneNote all the way. It integrates so well in that space, and I don't think you lose much in functionality over what Evernote has. Each one's got a few features that the other doesn't have, and a few quirks that the other doesn't have, and a few detriments against it that the other doesn't have. But the key of all of these tools is using it and integrating it in your life. And if you do, then it benefits you. And even if the other one might be a little bit better in some aspect, you'll never know. And really, you shouldn't care, because if you learn to master that tool that fits best in your world, you are more productive, and you are more in charge, and you are more in control. And it does all of the positive things, not just keeping you in control, but reducing stress and all of those other things that we kind of espouse these tools to be. So if I was a Mac guy living in an Apple world, I'm happy in Evernote. But if I'm a Windows guy living in a Windows world, and especially if I'm a 365 guy and an Outlook guy, I'm going deep into OneNote, and I'm not even thinking twice about it.
Let's see. Brad's asking, didn't Apple buy IFTT?
I think there was something about that, but I can't remember. The end of the year is there's too many things that happened. I think something like that did come down. I can't remember what it was. There was a rumor about it, if not.
All right, I'm just going through. I think that. How do you organize your media files?
We use Dropbox primarily right now, and we just go by name. But we discard all of our editing files as we go. I consider most of my content to be kind of, I don't need to keep all of, it's not like in the TV show days where we had to keep all of the files and all of the videotapes and all that sort of, actually that's what, I don't know if you see right here, I've got all of I've got one of each of the types of tapes that we used to do when we did TV, from the big old beta tapes all the way down to the smallest tapes. But having said that, we just do it in Dropbox, and we just do it by file name. And most of the organization actually comes out of our Asana integration. That's where people go to look for the file. They don't necessarily look in the server. They look in Asana, where there's a link to the file that they should be working on.
All right. Will is saying, need more focus on smartphones. How do your productivity tools dovetail with a mobile interface? How would you screencast a mobile app?
It's easy to screencast a mobile app. We do it all the time. We'll show you how. They all work that way. It's quite easy, quite simple to do.
Okay.
If it's in the Apple world, it just works. You just plug it in by lightning cable, and the screencasting software sees it. In Chromecast, with Google, we just use Chromecast.
What headphones do you use?
I have a pair of the Bose noise canceling in-ear headphones, which I use for concentrated work, like when I'm working on when I want to use focus at will, and I'm looking for quiet. So the Bose noise canceling in-ear. The reason I bought the in-ear is I can travel with them as well as have them at home. Right now, I've just got a pair of monitoring earphones that go over the back, which are okay, just so that I don't have foldback or feedback and the here. And they were just a pair that I bought off Amazon. I can't remember the name. But the Bose ones are the ones that I use for real work and to enjoy listening to music. I don't have I've got a pair of over the ear muffs, but I always find them uncomfortable because of my glasses, so I prefer in ear.
I'm just making sure that I covered all of them. I did put some links. Kevin was asking for your Infusionsoft video, so I did put that in the link, and I put a link to Steve's YouTube channel. I think I may have gotten them all.
I'm just looking through. I think there was a couple of comments that I saw. Just moved from iPhone to Pixel. Do it, Kyle says. Excellent, Kyle. Yeah, there we go. This is good. It's been fun. Oach asked if I've looked at Switcher Studio. Yeah, it's an awesome tool. It's more than I need for our setup here, but it's an awesome tool, Switcher Studio, and it's one that we'll take a look at. Oh, Robert asked for the name of the foldable green screen. I don't actually know the name, but if you just take a look on Amazon at collapsible green screen, there's 4 or 5 that are all sourced at the same place. They're 6 foot by 9 foot collapsible screens. I can't remember. They cost under $100. Yeah.
All right. Looks like we had some.
Use Infusionsoft. We did touch on that.
And there's a few.
It's a good tool.
It looks like. Do you use MS Office for everyday work?
Nope. I use Google. I use Google Apps.
All right. Any recommendations for video courses? Well, yes.
Online video made easy. Now, this is doing video the style that we do, not necessarily going out and shooting video in the field. If you're shooting video in the field, we're not the course for you. And I don't know who I would recommend at this point. But some of the people who I follow that do an excellent job of that are people, Roberto Blake, I would take a look at, Jeremy Vest, Tim Schmoyer's stuff. That's who I'd take a look.
And Kevin, he also wants to know, is Bell Fiber your provider?
No, TELUS, but similar.
All right. I think that is a wrap, my friends.
Good. Well, thank you, everybody, for spending this time with us. I hope that you found today's webinar to be really useful. We certainly enjoyed having you on. Remember, those of you who want to make sure that this type of content continues on, consider joining us on Patreon. And to our new patrons, a big welcome to you. We'll be sending you personal notifications very shortly. Webinar replay will be available 48 hours after I get this all composed and up and online. Next week, live video should be working for you. April, thanks so much. I'm so relieved that we got through today's webinar. To all